I am Carter's first love, and I have been abroad for 2 years. When he returned, he was already with the nanny's daughter. His wealthy friends all accepted this girl as well. They scoffed at me for coming back. At the banquet, the girl pitifully stopped me. Don't cling to Carter anymore, he is not your possession. I frowned slightly and pushed her away. Get off me, you look crazy. A useless illegitimate child is really treated like a treasure. As soon as I returned to the country, I received a video. In the video, Carter was holding a girl in his arms, surrounded by his friends in the private room. After having a few drinks, someone gradually spoke up. Carter, Tina is back in the country. Aren't you going to pick her up? Aren't you afraid she'll call you and cry? Ha ha ha, that Tina is so proud. If it weren't for Carter telling us, we wouldn't have known she has been secretly fawning over our Carter for so long. At that time, she ran abroad, thinking that Carter would come to comfort her, but who knew, Carter already had someone better now. I really want to see Tina's reaction, ha ha ha. Amidst the voices of those reveling in misfortune, the girl nestled in Carter's arms looked up, her eyes slightly red. Carter, what if she comes looking for you? Carter moved the cigarette away and kissed her forehead. Don't worry, she doesn't even compare to a single hair of yours. Hearing this, I looked down at my long hair, which costs hundreds of thousands each month to maintain, and raised an eyebrow. Don't worry, Nina, we will all protect you. With us protecting you, Tina won't dare to do anything to you. With Carter's words, everyone began a new round of disdain towards me. Miss, should we take care of these people? The assistant asked seriously while driving. After transferring the funds to the account that sent the video, I turned off my phone and brought up another matter. Is my homecoming banquet being prepared? Yes, do you have any new requests? The assistant replied calmly. The more grandly it is done, the better. None of the people in this video need to be invited. I was playing with my phone. Understood, there won't be any posts sent to them. The assistant reacted, raising their voice slightly. I casually watched the flashing neon lights rush by outside the window. In the world of the wealthy, the hierarchy is clear. A difference of 1 level is like looking up at a tall building from the bottom of a ravine, something to aspire to but ultimately out of reach. The Shin family has always been one of the few high towers in the circle. And if I remember correctly, the people in the video, sitting around the table for a meal, couldn't even make it to my table. It's been a long time since I've been back, and I've almost forgotten how these people used to flatter and ingratiate themselves. Perhaps they've forgotten too. But it doesn't matter, they will remember soon enough. The return banquet of the Shin family's daughter was not announced, which meant that the Shin family intended to exclude their families from their collaboration. Those who have good relations with the Shin family will naturally have their own scales in their hearts. Dealing with them would dirty my hands. It's much more interesting to let them come and kneel to apologize on their own. Not long after the banquet invitation was sent out, my phone started ringing non-stop with calls to my assistant. After discussing this matter with my parents, they were also very angry and let me handle it as I wished. I could do whatever I wanted, not only to vent my frustration but also to restore the Shin family's reputation. It's not just anyone who can speak ill of the Shin family behind their backs. After drying for a few days, I had my assistant give them a unified time. When I walked into the private room, they were already seated. Carter looked at me, his expression very unpleasant. I walked straight to the main seat, and just as I sat down, Carter spoke up. Tina, even if you're still angry with me, you can't joke about this kind of thing. It will affect the cooperation of many families. I raised my eyes to him and said with a sneer, I haven't even spoken yet. What gives you the right to talk here? As soon as these words were spoken, Carter's face darkened even further, and the shadows in his eyes deepened. The atmosphere in the room grew tense, and those present lowered their heads, no longer displaying the arrogance they had in the previous video. I leaned back against the chair, looked around, and slowly said, Everyone, is there nothing you want to say? Weren't you all quite enthusiastic earlier? After a moment of silence, a boy stood up, holding his wine glass, and bowed to me. Miss Tina, we have spoken out of turn. Please forgive us for our indiscretion." He then downed the wine in one gulp. With him taking the lead, the others also stood up one after another, bowing and apologizing. Only Carter remained seated, as if he believed I would treat him favorably. Once everyone had finished apologizing, I stared at Carter, my fingers tapping on the table, saying nothing. "Tina, are you really this angry with me, to the point of causing such a scene?" Carter looked at me with a disappointed expression. Once, when Carter was just brought back to the Pei family, he was still a despised illegitimate child. The first time I saw him was at school. He collapsed at my feet, covered in wounds, begging me to save him. Yet his eyes were filled with resentment and unwillingness. Like a struggling little beast, it was quite intriguing. At that time, the eldest son of the Pei family happened to be a fool, secretly doing a lot of disgusting things. So I provided both money and effort to help him out. Gradually, I helped him establish a foothold in the Pei family. He then stayed by my side from that moment on. The rumors about my obsession with him and my worship of him began to emerge around that time. At that point, I suddenly had health issues and was urgently sent abroad for treatment. I didn't have time to pay attention to those rumors. Now that I have returned, I realize that the puppy I once raised has actually turned around and become my master. What a reversal of fate. Seeing me lost in thought, a hint of smugness appeared on Carter's face, just as he was about to speak again. I waved my hand to interrupt. "Do you dislike me? Does it matter to you? Your father wouldn't dare speak to me like this. What are you even worth?" Carter's smile instantly froze at the corner of his mouth, and the veins in his hand holding the wine glass bulged. I withdrew my gaze and said lightly, "Since everyone has apologized, let's turn the page on this matter. The posts will be delivered tomorrow, and I hope you all will grace us with your presence." Carter pressed down the anger in his chest, stood up, and slowly bowed to me, downing his drink. "Miss Tina, I apologize." After he finished speaking, I slowly got up and said, "I have something to attend to, so I won't keep you company. Please enjoy your meal, and put all expenses on my tab." Then, under the gaze of the crowd, they exited the private room. My homecoming banquet was quite grand, with almost all the prominent figures in attendance. I was wearing a formal dress, my hand holding a glass of wine resting on the railing of the second floor, looking down at the guests below. "Hey, I heard you organized a gathering a while ago?" Carter was there too. Lily shook her drink and nudged my shoulder. The Shin family and the Lin family are considered the top tier in the circle, and they have had a friendship since childhood. Well, someone said some things I didn't want to hear, just giving them a reminder. I took a sip of my drink and replied, "Indeed, you have just taken over the Shin family's business, and you need to establish your authority. Carter also needs to know his own worth." Lily was very clear about these social dynamics. "He's gone." I placed the wine glass in Lily's hand, who still wanted to speak, and followed the assistant down the stairs. As soon as I stood still, I felt a scorching gaze. It was Carter's, filled with amazement, obsession, and a hint of unwillingness. I frowned with a bit of nausea. What a dog of a man. After exchanging a round of pleasantries, I stepped down from the stage and chatted with the guests who had come over to greet me. Finally finding a moment to myself, I walked to the terrace to catch my breath. Carter's voice sounded from behind. I turned around irritably and looked at him displeased. "You look beautiful today." Carter's voice was gentle as he walked slowly towards me. I looked at him coldly. Back when Carter clung to me, he would always say similar sweet nothings, and at that time, there was still some genuine emotion in his eyes. Moreover, he was particularly attentive to my needs, taking care of every detail. I also gave him a lot of preferential treatment. "If you don't want to be escorted out by the bodyguard, then please be mindful of your limits," I said indifferently, turning to leave. A figure suddenly darted out, blocking Carter's path. "Nina, what brings you here?" Carter was also surprised by Nina's appearance. "Tina, can you just let Carter go? He doesn't like you, so why do you keep bothering him?" Nina bit her lip, her eyes reddening. It was as if I were truly a bully forcefully taking someone away. Nina, what are you talking about? Carter pulled Nina's hand, trying to take her away. Nina was determined to make it clear to me, Sister Tina, when you sent Carter out to dinner last time, weren't you just pressuring him? I know you have money and power, but you can't bully people like this. When it comes to the matter of eating, Carter's expression darkens. This Nina, really, so incredibly foolish. Nina. Go back. Carter warned in a low, displeased voice. Nina, however, turned a blind eye, steeling herself as she stepped forward and grabbed my dress, looking even more pitiful as she said, you mustn't cling to Carter any longer, he is not your possession. I've put up with this crazy couple long enough. I frowned and pushed her away, get off, you look like you're sick. A bastard child really thinks of himself as a treasure. Who cares? Nina fell to the ground, and Carter quickly embraced her, looking at me with dissatisfaction. Tina, we can talk this out nicely, there's no need to bully her like this. I slightly lifted my eyelids and calmly said, what did you say? Carter was somewhat startled by my expression, lowering his gaze and speaking in a softer voice. I'm sorry, Miss Tina. I don't want to be escorted out by the bodyguards in front of so many people, so I'll just leave on my own. After glancing at the tearful Nina, I walked out onto the terrace and returned to the guests. Tina, do you know what time it is? Do you know what time I drank until at your homecoming banquet yesterday? Lily, still half asleep and complaining, walked into the private room early in the morning. Glancing at the photo of Nina spread out on the table, Lily gave me a cryptic look. You can't really be interested in Carter, can you? Are you planning to make a move on her? I took a sip of water and said lightly, ever since I came back, I've felt that Carter and Nina are off. He finally managed to establish himself in the Pei family with my support, and at that time, I hadn't shown any disdain for him. Even though I later went abroad due to illness, and there were rumors that I might not survive, someone like him wouldn't easily sever this connection with me in that way. Now, he's putting Nina out in the open and tearing his face with me, that's not his style. Lily sat down on the sofa, maybe it's true love? I scoffed, reaching out to pick up a photo, take a good look, is there anything off? Lily leaned forward, squinting her eyes, unaware of anything. I slowly raised the photo to my cheek, reaching out to cover the lower half of Nina's face, take another look. Lily's pupils instantly constricted, the alcohol completely sobering her, her. It's very similar, especially those eyes, they look just like mine, or rather, they look a lot like my dad's. I said it lightly, as if I were just teasing about the change in weather. Nina is. Uncle Shen, impossible, Uncle Shen loves Aunt Xiao so much, and besides, the Xiao family is not to be trifled with. If it were true, how could the Xiao family be so calm? Lily sat down on the sofa, sorting through her thoughts. Xiao and Shen families are truly old friends in the real sense, a bond even closer than that of the Lin family. I listened to Lily's rambling and placed the appraisal report in front of her. This was found at Nina's house, take a look. Lily took the report without any surprise. After all, which family doesn't have some people doing shady business under the table? Lily finished reading and threw the appraisal report onto the table. She really is something, no wonder Carter is so brazenly with her, turns out he knew all along. What is this, waiting for the right moment to send her into the Shen family? Then he would be completely on board with the Shen family's big ship. His calculations are really something. I poured a glass of water for the furious Lily. Compared to me, Nina is indeed a better choice, but, he's just unlucky. Lily looked at me and asked, what do you mean? I smiled as I placed another report on the table. I felt something was off the day I returned, so I had someone take 2 samples and do it again. Lily looked puzzled after reading it, not biological, what does this mean? Could it be that the previous one was fake? I shook my head, both are true. After saying that, I slowly smiled again, the real Nina, the fake Nina, it's really interesting. It seems that these mysteries can only be solved by asking the person involved. It's nothing, I'll have someone bring her here and ask her properly, Lily said, and then she prepared to make a call. I pressed her down, no rush, there are still things to do before that. Noticing Lily's gaze, I explained, Carter has gone to great lengths for Nina, all for the Shin family. But as long as I am in the Shin family, let's not even mention that Nina can't enter the Shin household, even if she did, she wouldn't get anything from the Shin family. When they got together, wasn't it because they heard rumors that I was gravely ill and might not survive? Now that I have returned in good health, what do you think Carter's next plan will be? Lily's mind raced, and she immediately understood the implication. She jumped up, he dares. Does he really dare to take your life? I leaned against the back of the sofa, sinking down into it, whether he dares or not, we'll only know if we try. I really don't like the feeling of being secretly manipulated regarding life and death. It would be much more interesting to bring all of this into the open. A few days later, the news came that Dad Carter was seriously ill and hospitalized. I was in the yard having afternoon tea when I heard the news, and I had someone prepare a car to go to the hospital. As soon as I arrived at the private ward, I heard scolding coming from not far away. Carter, let me tell you, Dad has long since written his will, and you won't get a single cent. Do you really think he brought you into the company to value you? Don't dream about it, he just wants you to save the company that was half dead at the time, paving the way for me. You're just a dog raised by our Pei family, spit. I heard that the young lady of the Shin family doesn't want you anymore, tangled up with the daughter of a nanny. The voice cursed intermittently for a while, before fading away. It must be the eldest son of the Pei family, who was sent abroad for making a mistake back then. Carter straightened his wrinkled collar as he walked out, saw me, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. Tina, what are you doing here? I handed him the flowers. Come take a look at your dad's, and by the way, I need to talk to you about something. After seeing Dad Carter, Carter took me to the lounge. Tina, what do you want to talk to me about? I stared at him, clearly seeing the cautious strategy hidden beneath those gentle, watery eyes, and smiled. When did you find out about Nina's identity? Carter's expression stiffened for a moment, then returned to normal. Isn't Nina just the daughter of a maid? That maid of hers died 2 years ago. What status could she possibly have? I raised an eyebrow and tossed the paternity report in front of him. Coincidentally, a couple of days ago, out of curiosity, I had someone do a paternity test between her and my family, and it turns out she is a member of the Shin family. I watched Carter holding the fake paternity report I had made, which was originally not a paternity report, but now had become a true one. It seems that Carter must have known Nina's identity and did not conduct any new assessments. After all, he couldn't obtain a sample from President Shin. Tina, let me explain, I really didn't know, I feel for Nina. I impatiently interrupted Carter, saying, Carter, whether you truly don't know or are pretending not to, let me make it clear, as long as I am alive, Nina will never enter the Shin family door. If you think you can use her to get close to the Shin family, it will only end in vain. I just heard your brother say something. It seems your father's will doesn't include you. It's really a step-by-step strategy, only to end up with nothing. In the end, you'll have to revert to being that despised illegitimate child whom anyone can trample on. Tina! Carter shouted fiercely, crumpling the fragile paper into a ball. I gazed at him with a calm and breezy demeanor, and saw the hidden murderous intent in his eyes. Suddenly, I remembered a long time ago, he was by my side, step by step entering the Pei family. He felt it was too slow and actually decided to drug me on my birthday. Once the rice is cooked, it's a done deal, completely binding me to the Shin family. They even bribed reporters and the media, just waiting to blow the matter up and make it official. Later, he was knocked over by someone's wine glass. That time, I didn't pursue it, after all, I had already let him off once. There was also a car accident he encountered abroad later on. Calculating the time, he was already with Nina then and knew her identity. The car that crashed into us at that time had a driver who died on the spot, found to be driving under the influence. The Shin family had someone investigate but found nothing, so they let it go. After that, my family secretly protected me and spread the word that I was gravely ill and hard to treat. Now that I think about it, it must be Carter's doing. This time, he must be planning how to get rid of me. Then I'll provoke it a bit, let the plan move forward a little. Make this dog more anxious, jump over the wall a bit faster. My life and death must follow my plan. Carter, protect your chips well. I laughed ambiguously. Then, without looking at Carter's ugly expression any longer, she left gracefully. After finding Carter, I was quiet for a few days. Every day, I either went to the aquarium at home to see the fish or tasted new wines at the winery. Lily was so anxious that she was darting around in front of me. You've pushed Carter to this point, and you're still so relaxed. He's after your life. You're not even getting someone to keep an eye on him while you're here watching sharks. I lay in the rocking chair, watching the shark swim leisurely in the glass, slowly turning my gaze to Lily. There's no rush, there's one more person. I'm waiting for her choice. Who is it? Just as Lily's words fell, my phone rang. The assistant's voice was serious. Miss, someone called and said that Carter has been looking for someone to follow you. Be careful and don't go out alone. I raised an eyebrow at Lily and replied, who made the call? Have you checked? I checked, it's a public phone, and they're still investigating. No need to check anymore, call Uncle Chi and ask him to help me with something. I simply finished speaking, hung up the phone, and stood up, saying to Lily, let's go. Where to? Lily asked as she walked. I'll go visit someone else's house. I replied cheerfully. When they reached the door, Lily stared at the lock that Uncle Chi had pried open earlier, and said ominously, is this what you call visiting someone else's house? This is breaking and entering. I took off my shoes first and stepped into the room. Inside was a typical one-bedroom apartment, so small that it felt completely full with just 2 people inside. Whose house is this? Lily looked around. I walked to the door of the room and grasped the handle. Nina's home. Creak, the door opened, and the wind blew in through the window that had never been closed, stirring the hair by the ears. Nina. Lily's words caught in her throat as she incredulously extended her finger, pointing at the wall in front of her. I stared at the wall, which was covered with my photos. Eating, at parties, on the way home from school, feeding stray cats, and even in magazines. Even later, during the time I was abroad, I had no photos, so I just cut out the text from the news reports. She must be a freak. Lily swallowed hard, her voice trembling slightly. I took a couple of steps forward and gently touched one of the photos, which was from my birthday, smiling as I said, Nina, you made me look really good in this one. Having said that, I slowly turned my head and looked at Nina, who had appeared by the door. I didn't notice when. Lily was startled by my words, turning her head stiffly to look. Nina was staring at me intently, no longer the fragile and pitiful figure she had been when we first met. The 3 of us faced each other for a while, and I shrugged. Do you have any water? I'm thirsty. Nina lowered her gaze, remaining silent, and turned to the kitchen to pour some water. I pulled the still shaken Lily and sat down on the sofa. It felt as relaxed as being in my own home. Nina placed the water in front of me and sat down across from me. What about mine? Lily said, looking at the only cup of water on the table, dissatisfied. You didn't say you were thirsty, Nina said calmly. I chuckled softly, took a sip of water, and it was still warm. Lily was so angry that she completely stopped talking. Nina, perhaps you have other names. I put down my cup of water and looked up at the girl across from me, her expression cool and distant. What do you want to say? Nina continued to stare at me with a blank expression, as if she didn't care about being exposed. You're the one who called my assistant, aren't you? You don't want me dead? I leaned back against the sofa, asking casually. Nina answered affirmatively without hesitation. Why? You're with Carter, letting him know your identity. Isn't it just to make him your support when you return to the Shin family? If I die, your way back will be smoother. I casually dropped the topic. I am not a member of the Shin family, nor do I want to return to the Shin family, Nina said openly. Then I don't understand, what are you after? I propped my head up and asked lightly. Nina heard this and pressed her lips into a thin line, looking at Lily beside me. Jiao Jiao, you go back to the car first, I'll come find you in a bit. I whispered to Lily as I turned to the side. Lily rolled her eyes at Nina, stood up, and reminded me, be careful, I'll be waiting for you downstairs. With the sound of the door closing, I looked at Nina and said, can we talk now? What was the point of putting so much effort into that heartfelt performance with Carter for so long? Nina lowered her eyes and after a while said, Carter is not a good person, you can't like him, and he shouldn't be entangled with you. The air was quiet for a few seconds as I met Nina's honest gaze, momentarily at a loss for words. Are you saying that you did it for me? So, are you going to let Carter know what that parent-child report is for? In order to cut off his thoughts of you, and also to expose him when he sends me into the Shin family, saying that everything was forged by him, that he threatened me. Anyway, I am not a member of the Shin family. If the Shin family conducts another paternity test, they will know the truth. By then, the Shin family will deal with him, and you will no longer have a chance with him. You will also discover his true colors. I just didn't know he would want to lay a hand on you. Nina's voice grew softer and softer. The Pei family won't let you off, although they are not as powerful as the Shin family, they are not a small clan either. When the time comes, the Shin family won't protect you. I got up and sat next to Nina, propping my head up to look at her. Don't worry, it's fine. Nina stood straight, as if she truly wasn't afraid of the consequences. I curled my lips into a smile and leaned in a little closer. Nina, how about considering a partnership with me? Your plan remains unchanged, and I'll add my plan to it. The Shin family won't protect you, but I will. The smile on my face gradually faded, as if the one who had... I reached out and covered the lower half of Nina's face with my hand, staring into her eyes. On one of my previous birthdays, Carter slipped something into my drink. Just as I was about to take a sip, a waiter wearing a mask tripped and fell at my feet, knocking over that glass. Who do you think she is? Nina's gaze flickered away, then, as if she had made up her mind, she looked straight at me. Carter is not a good person. While he is with you, he is secretly involved with many other girls. He is not sincere with you. You shouldn't like him. I burst out laughing and took a while to catch my breath. Who told you I like Carter? Don't put any sentimental labels on me. Now tell me, what's your identity all about? Is it really Nina? And what about her mother? What's going on here? The smile on my face gradually faded, as if the one who had just teased, with tenderness, was another person. After a few seconds of silence, Nina began to lay everything bare. When I got back to the car, it was already afternoon. The afterglow of the setting sun filtered through the car window and fell on my face. Are you done? What's going on? Lily turned off the music in the car and said seriously. True, Nina and her mother have both passed away. I rubbed my temple. What? Lily was somewhat shocked. Nina said she was taken from an orphanage in a remote area by that woman because she looked very much like the real Nina when they were young, and the real Nina had died of a serious illness. That woman was a former junior of my dad, who had confessed her feelings, but was rejected. After my dad got married, she took advantage of an opportunity to drug him and, after succeeding, she was afraid of being discovered by the Shen and Xiao families, so she ran away. She planned to return to the Shen family once the child grew up and the timing was right, revealing her identity and seamlessly entering the Shen household. Who would have thought that the child later fell ill and died? To return to the Shen family, she adopted a child from a remote orphanage who resembled the real Nina, making her take on the identity of the real Nina. All of this was what that woman drunkenly confessed. Later, she had an accident due to her drinking. Nina was then sent to a welfare home and was adopted a few times, eventually growing up. I succinctly recounted the events. Wow, this is truly unpredictable, isn't it? Lily paused for a long while before saying, "Then why does this Nina treat you like that? Do you have any connection with her?" I shook my head. I asked, but they didn't say anything, and I have no impression. Lily said as she started the car, "That's true, you've been doing all kinds of charity work since you were little, visiting orphanages and welfare homes so often, maybe you saw her in one of those places." I looked at the clouds outside, stained crimson, like a flame that would never extinguish, as if it were about to burn into one's heart. "Maybe." "What are you planning to do, Carter?" "Let's go along with the plan." The news of Dad Carter's critical illness kept coming, and at that moment, Carter felt like an ant on a hot pan. I decided to give him a breakthrough. "I'm planning to visit my grandparents tomorrow, they must have missed me after such a long time." I slowly spoke during dinner. "All right, then we'll go with you tomorrow." Dad smiled at me affectionately. "No need, tomorrow, I want to go by myself and whisper secrets," I said mysteriously. Dad and Mom exchanged a smile and went along with me. The next day, it rained continuously. I drove alone to the cemetery, placing flowers in front of my grandparents' photos, softly saying, "Grandpa and Grandma, please bless your granddaughter." After waiting for a while, as I descended the steps under the umbrella, someone from behind covered my head and led me into the car. Find me? A desperado? My vision was obscured, and my hands were painfully bound by the ropes. No one responded to me, and the car fell silent. In a daze, I was taken onto a boat, the black cloth on my head still not removed. I felt someone tying ropes around me. Then I was pushed hard, and the seawater rushed into my nostrils, squeezing my lungs. It felt as if countless invisible hands were climbing onto me, dragging me down into the abyss. The news of Miss Shin's drowning spread quickly, and the Shin family invested a great deal of manpower and resources, working with the police to search for the kidnapper, yet they still failed to capture anyone. News reports come in day after day. The underwater search team worked day and night to recover, but they found no bodies. Rumors swirled in the circle, with everyone speculating about who the Shin family had offended and who was reckless enough to provoke them. After searching for who knows how long, the Shin family finally held a press conference to announce Tina's death. On the day of the funeral, Carter brought Nina into the venue. In front of everyone, he took the hands of Mr. and Mrs. Shin, tears streaming down his face, and said, "Mr. Shin, Mrs. Shin, I am also very saddened by Tina's passing, but Mr. Shin, you must take care of your health and not be too heartbroken. You still have a daughter waiting for you to take her home." As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd erupted in an uproar. Mr. Shin shook off Carter's hand. "Carter, are you so heartbroken that you're talking nonsense?" Carter pushed Nina forward and held up the appraisal report in front of everyone. This was forcing Father Shin to acknowledge it, whether he wanted to or not. Mr. Shin's expression changed, and before he could speak, Nina trembled and fell to her knees, crying as she clutched Mr. Shin's pant leg, pleading for help. "Mr. Shin, please save me, I didn't do it, this appraisal was forged by him." The plot twist came too quickly, and Carter didn't react in time. What on earth is going on? Mr. Shin suppressed his anger and looked at Nina. It was he who threatened me, forcing me to pretend to be the illegitimate daughter of the Shin family, so that once I entered the Shin family, I could scheme for their fortune. If I refused, he would kill me. You can verify this again and see that I have no relation to you. Moreover, he also said that he had already dealt with Miss Tina, and from now on. You are talking nonsense. Nina's cry was interrupted by the furious Carter. Carter immediately tried to grab Nina, but he was held back by Mr. Shin's men. "Was it you who did something to Tina?" Father Shin, a man seasoned in the business world, immediately grasped the situation and had someone pull Carter's hair to lift his head. "President Shin, how could I dare? It was she who found me, claiming to be the daughter of the Shin family living outside, asking me to help her enter the Shin family. As for Tina, I truly have no idea." Carter really fits the description of a fool, even his speech is incoherent. "How could you not know?" I spoke up in the crowd. Everyone around, except for Lily, showed a look of terror and retreated several steps. When Carter saw me, his face instantly turned pale, trembling as he tried to hide, but he was held down and unable to move. My parents called me in disbelief. I smiled at them, signaling them to relax. Bending down to help Nina up, he whispered in her ear, "You performed well. Have you considered entering the entertainment industry? I'll support you." Nina wiped away her tears and returned to her usual unsmiling demeanor. Carter's gaze turned to me. "Hi, it's good to see you again. Your people tied that rope really tight." It took quite a while for Lily to get me on the boat and untie it. Carter struggled desperately. "Miss Tina, what are you saying? I don't understand. You have no brains at all. The only thing you can barely call a strength is your stubbornness." I squatted down to meet Carter's gaze and continued, "Do you know why the Shin family sent so many people but couldn't find the ones who kidnapped me? It's because Lynn's family and I caught them first, and now we've handed them over to the police. Can you guess how long it will take for the police to get here?" With each word I spoke, Carter's face grew a shade grayer. "You knew all along." Carter no longer tried to argue, looking at me as if resigned to his fate. "Originally, getting rid of you and the Pei family would be too easy, but I'm quite interested in your plan and suddenly wanted to have some fun with it." "As expected, it's quite enjoyable," I said, patting his shoulder and teasing him. Carter's eyes were bloodshot, a deep crimson, and he slowly smiled at me, saying, "It's like drawing water with a bamboo basket, all in vain, but that's okay, having you by my side isn't so bad." As soon as he finished speaking, Carter, fueled by an unknown strength, broke free from the bodyguard, pulled out a small knife he always carried with him, and lunged it towards me. Suddenly, a warm body lunged in front of me, wrapping me in its embrace. The knife plunged deep into the newcomer's shoulder. Nina gasped in pain beside my ear, yet she gritted her teeth and made not a sound. Carter was forcefully pinned down, his head slammed against the floor, the corner of his forehead split open, blood streaking down his cheek, making him look even more ferocious. "Ha ha ha, you all played me, you all played me, you all treated me like a dog, treated me like a dog." The siren sounded, and the chattering Carter was taken away. "I'll take you to the hospital." I supported Nina, whose face was as pale as death. "It's okay, it doesn't hurt, just my shoulder, it's fine." Nina pressed my hand and smiled at me. "Well, you're tough as iron, it doesn't hurt. Do you want me to give you another cut?" I shot Nina a glare. Nina immediately fell silent. I took her to the hospital, leaving the aftermath to my parents and the grumbling Lily. Shortly after Carter was arrested, Carter's father passed away. Although most of the estate in the will was left to the eldest son of the Pei family, a portion of shares and assets was still allocated to Carter. "You said, if Carter knew that his father left him something, would he have acted so decisively?" Lily asked, picking up a piece of food with her chopsticks. "No, someone like Carter will never be satisfied, otherwise, he wouldn't keep making the same mistakes." I reached out to take the meal Aunt Lou had prepared. Lily glanced at the exquisite dishes on the tray and asked, "Who are they for?" "Nina, she's been preparing for exams lately and always forgets to come down for meals," I replied casually. "Wait, are you saying you let her move into your house?" Lily swallowed her food and raised her voice. "Keep your voice down, I'm not deaf. The situation with the Pei family has just settled, and it's not peaceful. I just had her come over, anyway, this villa is usually empty." I dropped this line and turned to go upstairs, leaving Lily downstairs to grumble in dissatisfaction. Knocked on the door a few times. "Nina, it's time to eat." Nina was wearing loungewear, her long hair reaching her shoulders, and her appearance offstage exuded a sense of coolness, yet her gaze was very gentle. "Next time, just have Aunt Lou call me down. If I called you and you could hear, would I need to come up here?" I leaned against the doorframe, raising an eyebrow at her. Nina shyly took the tray and made way for me. "Yo, the flowers you planted have bloomed." I reached out to touch the white petals. "Well, it's opened." Once it opens a bit better, I'll give it to you, Nina said while eating. Okay, I'll wait. I sat down on the sofa, waiting for Nina to finish her meal. The room fell silent, and after an unknown amount of time, Nina's voice broke the stillness. My name is not Nina. I lifted my head from the book and looked at her. My name is Leah. Nina looked at me with a certain intensity and solemnly stated her name. I smiled gently and said, all right, Leah, my name is Tina. Nice to meet you. I am waiting for your flower.